and continuing on. Okay, so we fed some out. We're going to keep feeding on. We're working on the shaft here. And we got carried away, turned down a little bit too much. So we're coming back here, going to work an area that only needs to be approximately, where's my shaft? There's a real short area here. It's literally like 1 3/8. So 1 3/8 of that needs to be, we'll come in here and create it. Let's go here, we'll create 0 and 1 inch is there, and 3/8 is going to be 3.75, close enough. So we're going to make us a mark. And we're going to turn down to that. Except this time we'll pay attention better. A little bit. I forget your tool pressures change when you change the speed. So just gotta watch everything. Gotta watch. And you definitely don't want to touch that with your hand. You will burn your fingers off. So let's take a guessometer measurement. We need to be, there's 900 and we need it to be 8, we'll call it 815. Since it's hot, we'll leave it large. Okay. Take a guessometer. Like I said, we're going to leave this large, 855. And because it cools off, that's when we'll work down and we'll work with our file and everything and get to our finished diameters. That's what I should have been doing. We're 831 with a guessometer. Let's come in here with a mic. Oh, there we go. Let's roll her down here. Make sure we're still 0. Make sure I didn't bump anything incorrectly. And we're still 0. And we are 829/8, so we'll just call it 830. We'll take 10. a total of 10 off the diameter. I've never been a big fan, especially when I'm working on a shaft like this, of dragging your carbide back, touching. Now, if you're doing lots of hogging, or, you know, everybody has their own deal. I've just always been, okay, we're 8/16, and that's hot. So, and that's 15. So I'm going to leave that there, call that a good diameter for that, because that's going to be where this slides onto that we were talking about. So there we go. And I purposely left it long, because what I'll do is when I get it to the length, instead of trying to part with something hanging out here real far, I'll put it in the bandsaw, cut it off, and I'll actually put this shaft in here, and then I'll fix up the other end. So now that we have that, we know that our other diameter, basically we're coming down to, and I'll show you where it fits. Get the other part, because it is over here. Alright, essentially this is what's going to fit on here, okay? Let me pop this off. Although these gears are not going to be attached to anything, they're just going to be open to the air. But what's going to hold it is, you can see there's a keyed slot in there, okay? And that's what essentially fits on here. So I know whenever I created or cut this down, okay, to leave this sticking out far enough to this part, and I'm going to determine, you know, where the shoulder is, where this is going to stop up against, okay, because it'll push up to a shoulder and stop, and I'll have to figure that out as we go down the road. But we still have some material we can hog down to, and that's what we're working on right now. So let's see, our next diameter that we're working for, which we'll call it the shoulder diameter, because I'm gonna leave it long in here, because I don't know exactly until I like put this on there and figure out. I can always come back once I figure out where that brass piece fits well. When I get it again, this is how I do things. It's kind of weird, but everyone has their own method, and I will already have that coupling onto the shaft. Well, not yet, but I won't pin it, but I'll have it in there, and I'll figure out, okay, how much farther back does that shoulder need to be in order to make everything work correctly. And then at that point, I'll determine from that, okay, where does my keyed slot need to be. And so that's kind of how I determined, you know, everyone has their own way their brain works and method of the madness. So our next, we'll call it our shoulder diameter, needs to be 690, okay? And that's just what that happens to be here, and that worked. So we are at 790, 690, so we got 100 thousandths to pull off. So let's get started. Let's come back over here all the way, and we're going to keep feeding down. Oh, we need to pull a little bit more out here, just to get our tool. All right. Going to stop up here a ways. We'll take the 790, we'll actually stop at that next shoulder. Our 5/8, which is our ultimate finish diameter, we'll stop at the next one. We'll leave it out a couple of inches. Something on a long shaft, it always wants to flex, so the tool pressure is going to change. I'm going to have to, so I'll be able to get my tool in there. Take a little heavier cut this time. This 433 Lancer likes a heavier cut. Make sure I stand to the back over here. You see where I am. So if anything flies out, I'm not directly in front of it. Stuff's coming out with a great finish for before having to use finishing tools. So let's see where we're at. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Alright, so let's see where we're at with our guessometers. Make sure we're zeroed. We are 709. And we need it to be 690, 697. Actually, let me go ahead and measure it with the wheel here. Again, that's just going to be a shoulder, so it doesn't have, there's nothing that's fitting on there that I'm aware of. So yeah, 690, and we are at, we'll probably let it cool off before, well, we will let it cool off before we do any finishing. And we are 702. So yeah, we'll definitely let that cool. We'll leave it large. Leave it, 5,000 large or whatever. I'd rather work down to it. Now the next one we're going to work down to is going to be 5/8 Johnny on the spot, if I remember correctly. And we are 625 on the button. So what we're going to do next is we're going to work down to 5/8, and I'm going to leave because I'm not sure where exactly this piece until I get everything over there, because where the shoulder needs to stop, okay, because we have, this is on, and depending on where this needs to stop, according to, make sure everything works correctly. Again, this is going to be keyed, this here is going to be keyed onto this with a half moon key, because that's what it's designed to do. So to determine where this needs to end up as, now I know I'm long out here, and that's fine. I'd rather leave it a little long, and then, we'll figure out where we need to be at the end to do our threading and everything like that for our handles and stuff. So essentially this is where we're going to be. So we'll be in there like so, actually. So we'll say it's like that. And then the next shoulder, we're going to determine how far out it needs to be, where this needs to fit to work appropriately. And and then from this through is 5/8, and it's a light press. It's like a half thou or a thou. It's a real light press. So that's where we're at. Make sure, and we are at 704, so take another pass. Take some light cuts, because now that we're getting thinner, if you try to take too heavy of a cut, that'll flex and you'll get a weird, it won't cut evenly. Kind of one of the tricks to do in small diameter shafts. Don't take too heavy of a cut. You have to make a few more passes to get it right. That way you're not doing a lot of file work. Now I'm going to stop there with the shoulder. I figure that'll be good enough. That will be good enough to kind of, that way I know, okay, how far, how much more I need to go. Because I know that's pretty far out. And from there, if I need to, you know, once I figure out, okay, how far does it need to be, I can kind of figure, okay, and I'll push my shoulder back. I can come in here, set it up, put my, chuck the item up and in between center, and I'll chuck onto the other piece here, and we'll turn our shoulder back to where, because there's nothing going to be. This is just going to be an open air measurement. All that is creating a shoulder for that brass piece to fit up against. And so we are at 665. We need to be 625. Broken out of the way. There we go. Make sure it's not getting hung back up in there. Alright. And we'll leave this large. We'll let it cool off for the night. We're going to stop here in a little bit. Go inside. We'll come out tomorrow and start everything fresh. And we are... we actually went under. See, that's what I was talking about. Tool pressure changes. I'm 624, 5. Actually, no, it's right on. Hang on. Hold on. I think I bumped the button. Let's try this again. This is why I always go back, and you don't want to second guess yourself. Yeah. I was going to say, I knew that didn't sound right. 0. Okay. Yeah, I bumped a button. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. I know I'm right there close. I am like right so close it's not even funny. I may have actually gotten right on 625. And we're a little under. Wow, that's hot. So it's going to shrink a little bit. And see, right there in the middle, and now we're going back up again. So up here at the end, let's go ahead and take a measurement at the end. And I'll press freeze. So at the end, we're 624. So I did go under, right under, just barely. So again, it's not a showstopper. I wanted it right on 625. I will take that. I will definitely take that. We're definitely going to call that a stop, and we'll let it cool off. Move the camera up here. You can hear everything crunch, crunch, crunch. So there we go. Crunch, crunch, lots of stuff to clean up. So, taking light cuts, and you can see it's smaller here in the middle than it is out here on the end. We're going to let it cool. That is supposed to be a real light press fit or just slide on. Again, this isn't like a constantly moving coupling where if this was like a high-speed shaft, I'd be like, no, that's wrong. This is just for the power feed. It slides on. It'll fit. It doesn't have to be a super tight. Well, the other, I say it's not super tight press fit. It's a real snug slip, and that's what this is. Because when I pulled the nut on, and it slid right off. So, and I haven't actually measured the bore on this yet. Let's see if it'll actually slide on the end. Out of curiosity, since we already could have conceivably went too small. Again, I haven't measured the inside of this. I'm just presuming it's 5/8, and we know what happens when you just presume. Oh, it's sore. You know what happens when you presume things. So let's slide this off, and let's just see. Oh yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's and again, here I'll show you guys. That is nothing to sneeze at. Matter of fact, I'll zoom the camera in, and you guys can see that is. This is still real hot, but still this is going to be keyed on, so it's not a failure. Again, we always try to go for our exact what it needs to be. Now, comma, however, I know this shoulder is sticking out too far. Alright, I know that obviously, but I know I've got to pull some more of this back. So when I go to pull this back, I know sneaking up on, I can work down to and get close to size. Because what I still have to do out here is determine how much I need to leave, plus we still have to create. Yeah, that's definitely nice and warm. We have to create how much material we need on the end for our knob. And then we've also got to come in here and we're going to do some thread relief stuff. And I'm going to do all that before I go in here and part this off. We'll come in here and we'll turn down to size. That's actually 1/2 inch. And I mean, it's on the major diameter on the thread pitches, on the peaks, they're actually 1/2 inch. But we've got the handle. We're going to single point this. It's 1/2 20. We're just going to come in here, create our thread relief just like it has here, and we'll get all this in and we'll fit our handle so it's a nice tight fit, and that's what will help compress everything on, because our handle actually fits on here, and it just, you know, so there you go. And then once we determine where this shoulder is, then we'll get it after we've done all this other stuff, and we know, okay, this is where our key slot needs to be. Then we'll put it in the mill and mill our slot in. So there we go. We'll back the camera up. So there we go. Another part. Yes, it's turning on the lathe. Probably seen a lot of it. You got to see me mess up once and almost mess up a second time. Again, filming and trying to talk and work and concentrate. It's difficult. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm a garage guy. And so guys that do this all the time, like Adam and Keith and, you know, the Tom Liptons and all those others out there, they do this all day, every day, and make it look easy. You really have to, you know, think about everything ahead of time, especially the way I do it. I want to do it on screen, no editing, you know, 5-minute clips here and 5-minute, you know. I'll get to that eventually one of these days. I keep talking about that. But anyhow, so there you go. That's all for this episode. If you guys have any questions, my public email address eagledustoff37@gmail.com. You guys hit me up, talk to me. I'll answer your emails. I try to get stuff pretty much as quick as it comes in. Just obviously depending on where you're at in the world and when you watch this video, I might get back to you a little later. But I always try to answer all my viewers' questions. So there we go. Interesting. This is all for the modification and install of the power feed that we got from All Industrial Tool Supply. Matter of fact, they did send me a catalog and I did get it handy. They're in Huntington Beach, California. So look them up. There you go. And this catalog, price is good through April. A lot of good stuff on there. We'll kind of glance through here. Like I said, I've already ordered some other stuff from them. They got, pretty much the same thing. They got some good Allen wrenches, space heaters. They carry Hobart, Irwin, channel lock, TTC. There you go. Some good stuff. So definitely something to look at. Transfer punch sets. So a lot of the stuff you may not see it on their eBay store. All Industrial Tools, www.allindustrial.com. Go to their website, check them out, give them a call, talk to them online, tell them I sent you. Not that I get a break, I don't get anything out of it, just then so they know, hey, you watched the video, you heard about them. They got some good prices on stuff. Again, the only reason I talk about something is if I like it, and then I'll talk about it. They haven't paid me anything. I've purchased that, so we'll see. We'll go through here. They got ER collets, DROs, because we may get a DRO from them for the mill. We don't know yet. So they got a lot of neat stuff in here. They carry Edge Technology stuff. I've used that. Speaking of, they carry stuff like that. Go check them out. So anyway, until next time, and what I'll show on the next video is we'll get in. I'm not going to show single point threading because you guys have seen stuff like that. The next step where you will come into this is when I'm doing the keying for this shaft, and I've already figured out all the other geometry and where this needs to be. Again, I don't like to beat a dead horse when I show my videos as far as showing the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. I like to show you something new, and it's a neat project, and this is part of it. Primarily what it's for is you get one of these, you need to make you a shaft to adapt to your machine. This gives you a basic idea of what you need to do and how you need to approach it. Remember, take care of yourself and take care of family, because at the end of the day, remember, you and your family is all you got. Until next time, you guys be safe and keep all your protective equipment on. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.